All right, I was gonna round it out with the typical. Unfortunately, a lot of the horror hound, after those all, I mean, the one interview was, a wokester running into a boomer who doesn't give a shit, and now you have, the typical stuff here. Oh, woman being abused, body horror by J.K. J.K. Wait a minute, dude from Jamiroquai. Remember Jamiroquai? Right, this is the return of the space cowboy. Anyway, sorry. I actually like Jamiroquai. I know you're like, what the fuck, but I don't think that's that J.K. But J.K. wrote all these articles. But you got Tim Roth. Um, you know, what is this? I like this. What do you got here? I could tell potentially interesting, subversive or critical of the genre. Oh, please. To be subversive and critical, you have to go the other direction after all this time. Right. And what is this? Hold on a second. Toxic. Oh, the toxic word. Everybody's doing the toxic waltz. Remember that song? Uh, and I remember, where does he goes? Where he, in this thing, he goes, oh, she was so awesome. She was so great. I'm not saying she wasn't. Maybe she is great. I'm not saying it, but she's. Goes, oh, she's right. Oh, immense talent, innate dignity, intelligence, formidable strength and charisma, lend credibility, adds authority and weight to everything she engages with. She's an extraordinary actor. There's nobody better. It's like, okay, you know what? Maybe she is, but it's like, oof, damn, dude. Mate, they don't respect her. You know that, right? Oh, there he is, Tim Roth. Right? So we go to another JK. Now this, okay, get into this, right? Which is funny, like fresh hell, right? A horror story for these dumpster fire days. Yeah, I know. And it's really coming for us. So what does that fucking mean? That don't sound right. And so we have these two. Actually, I thought this was interesting because it's another. It's another COVID. Well, these new COVID films coming out, right? Emotional roller coaster. There was a lot of it shot with Zoom. I thought it was interesting that the director and the actor would come from the theater. Now, listen. I actually, you're gonna. This is a funny thing. Yours truly, actually. I'm always fascinated by theater actors, people that don't act for cinema, right? But who act for a live audience. That actually is interesting. You don't have editing, right? You have to project and all that. It is interesting. I'm not gonna be a total pro on all these things. Of course, some of my favorite actors in the horror genre who are all gone, all theater trained actors. But anyways, separate from that. So we'll go here, right? I like to talk with a filmmaker about the idea of using horror as a platform for relevant and impactful topics. Real world trauma. Oh, I totally agree that horror should be used for that. So, but maybe for more diverse views. Right? All right, so since 2020, several the all caps, the God, all caps pieces have come out. Right? The bougies are really frightened of it, or are they? They're supposed to be frightened of it, according to the checklist that they wake up to every day to be good. So maybe it's even worse. Maybe it's not real fear, but it's fashion. Right? But they're talking about Zoom. I tell you, I had one experience with Zoom, which was like kind of funny. So I even wore my pants, even though they couldn't see my pants. I wore the proper pants. I was just used to that. Oh, you got here. And this is what I'm talking about. This is, like I say, the disconnect. Like a fresh hell. Some of the audience have picked up. It's an angry movie. It's angry. You want to fucking talk about anger? It's a reaction to what we were all going through in the summer of 2020. The sense of what do you do when you feel hopeless? Are you fucking kidding me? 2020, I was getting pissed off at everybody. I was going all over the place, I was even people that were kind of still believing this. I sort of forced myself upon them. I know that sounds fucked up, right? Summer of 2020, I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. Okay, I was going out, I was having fun, I was going to bars, I was doing what I had to do, but you all hopeless. Interesting. But apparently, and also the same thing, to make a horror film at that time, you have to add something that is separate from the all caps God, right? There's some other actor, there's some is force acting in the thing, rather than admitting that the force that was acting upon you, causing you all this trauma, or if was just human beings, the government, okay, these institutions, the oligarchs, they were doing this to you, okay. Anyway, I don't want to belabor the point, but it's just interesting looking at now, after all these years, you're gonna have these things coming out related to this, totally not going the direction that horror used to, which was to say that the government was involved with things. So anyway, here's another one. J.K. again. Oh man, all right. Slap Face. Now apparently there's a game called Slap Face. I don't remember this. I remember slap boxing. I remember dudes like Guidos and like street dudes like fighting on like slap boxing. But every slap boxing thing I ever saw as a kid always turned into a real fight. I don't know. So you fucking slap me, I'll throw it on you. Full, I'm throwing it on, There's no there's no, you don't play games with fucking fighting, bro. But yeah, this was interesting. Nothing really to say here, right? Guy was talking about children, a supportive, encouraging, creative, and safe environment is very important to me. Now I know that sounds like, you hear this stuff, you're like, oh god, it sounds like, but it's actually not wrong in here. You want to keep your children and your women safe, right? All right. Everyone feeling safe is important. All right. Well, that's always the eternal problem of making movies with children and then making horror films with children. You always wonder, like Halloween 4 and 5, or even The Terrifier, where you had a kid in there. It's like, okay, you're making these films. Is it appropriate to have children in these films? I thought this was interesting here. The grandfather of my film was raised in a household where there was alcoholism. I don't want to talk about my own families. My dad's families, man, there was a lot of alcoholism and a lot of violence. And they weren't slapping each other. They were punching each other like fucking, they were fighting in the ring. Like LaMotta, right? Although it was just funny here, the bullies in the story were directly lifted from my own grandfather's life. He was chased home from school by 3 female bullies. Oh, mate, you're getting off script here, right? 2 rocks, and one of them always circles around and says, "You're my secret lover, kiss me. But if you tell anybody, that I swear it will be even worse." Yeah. Wait a minute, you mean women females? I know. It's like these people all, everything they say is like what you would learn in an artificial college. Okay. Do any of you remember that growing up? I don't. Man, I'm an old ass man. Right here, I like how he goes here too. He brings up Terry Gilliam's Time Bandits. Yo, I saw Time Bandits twice in the movie theater as a kid. It's fucking Time Bandits, bro. That fucking movie, excuse my language, that movie, that was a great movie. So anyway, let me run through here, right? Irish horror film, You Are Not My Mother. This actually sounds fascinating. But, and this film here, there's like there are people making homage films to the 70s Euro horror, which I always, you could never get enough Euro horror, okay? It would be more fun to me to see how you can tell it's not, it's modern day Europe and not the Europe of the 70s. And we got all here we go, the tchotchkes and the toys. Listen, the stuff like this looks cool. I'll admit, I could see a thing for this, the Universal horror stuff. But look, man, it's like $300, bro. Yeah. So, and they call it Dead Alive. I don't have. I'm trying to see what is there to say of Dead Alive in here. I told you it was one of the craziest films I had seen in the 90s. I'm trying to think here. All right, I guess I could make it topical for you. Horror movies today are increasingly social and political demonstrations. Yeah, no kidding. We need to have other ones with other social and political demonstrations, right? There is mechanisms, right? So they're basically saying Dead Alive, however, is not that Didalia. Oh. Entertainment story is enough to satisfy audiences, right? And he brings up the fact that also there's some of the in the movie, right? Lionel's idealistic world is a darker thing underneath the suburban, you know, thing here. The Rockwellian world. Oh, Rockwellian. I guess that's the adjective of this man. Something more sinister. Well, I'll tell you one thing. I always love that too. When the picket fence. Listen, I'm the guy telling you that the idyllic 1950s. I'm wondering if even people thought that, or if that was totally made up by the critics, by the subverters, to say, "Oh, you thought the 50s was idyllic," when it was anything but idyllic. But the idea that you would have something, let's say, idyllic, is to be something to be scorned and laughed at. You know, to let your kids go out at night, you know, or you let your kids like hang around and not have to watch out for them, to keep your doors unlocked. You know, in some ways, I guess I'm against that as well, because it just sets you up for what comes later, which is the world that they want, which is far from idyllic. As you insult the ideal, and turn but meanwhile totally ignore the reality of what you people have brought into effect. Yeah. It has to happen, right? Yeah. Let me get through here. This I had no interest in this one. Disgust. Oh yeah, love that movie. They had a little thing here. Joe Bob. They had a VHS series of Joe Bob. My man, Joe Bob. Right, the guy who stand the test of time. Going over these films, they had VHS releases with him, like kind of hosting. I didn't know that. Always the biggest, coolest thing about HorrorHound is when they go over this stuff, right? I'm trying to think what else. Oh, okay, I'll end it out, right? Yes, I know. Silent Night, Deadly Night. I know the demonization of Christmas. I know the people involved, but I don't care. I still love this fucking movie, dude. So naughty, right? You know, and I just, I don't know. I guess it's a great movie. Christmas horror movies. But I totally agree. There should be horror movies for other holidays. And I mean other holidays of around this time. I agree. We haven't yet to see the other holiday horror films of the holidays that occur around this time, and I think that is very. It's a shame. There needs to be more horror films of the other holidays of this time. What holidays am I talking about? Well, of course I mean Kwanzaa. Guar, I'll get real quick. Guar, never a big fan of Guar's music, but I remember seeing it in Camden. Guar was playing Sounds of the Underground, and I was lucky. Listen, I had been in the front for a bunch of bands: Terror, Behemoth, Cannibal Corpse, Trivium, and a lot of moshing. I gorilla pressed a dude over my head. And a lot of fun times. So I lost my hat, and I think I fucking elbowed somebody really hard in the jaw. But regardless, when Guar came out though, I was in the back already. I was taking a break. Thank God I wasn't there, because everybody in that front row got sprayed with this green fucking Caro syrup shit that you were not getting out for at least a week of showering, and your clothes would have been shot. So. I was thankful that I wasn't there for Guar, you know. And that's it. HorrorHound, real quick, Maniac. If you want to see a film that encapsulates that late 70s, early 80s sleazy New York atmosphere with the great character actor Joe Spinell, great dude, great actor, man, and Tom Savini Gore, Maniac, dude. If you haven't seen this. It's really disturbing, and I like hitting too. And Carolyn Monroe, she was in 3 films with him. Great films. The last horror film was amazing. The last scene of it was shot in Cannes, right? She always talks really nicely about this maniac Spinell. So I think that tells you something, that he was more of a pussycat than the crazy dude he was. All right, later.